The problem with traditional composition rules, they weren't designed for intuitive painting. Let me show you a better way. Hi there, I'm Janine. I'm an artist and I share my creative journey on this channel. Composition rules like the rule of thirds and the golden ratio are great for landscapes, portraits, still lifes, and if you plan your composition before you start painting. They can work for abstracts, but it doesn't really make sense to use them if you're painting intuitively. So I've got a few sketches here that are painted intuitively or started intuitively, and they're very messy, so we want to sort out the composition. And I'm going to show you why I think that traditional methods don't really work very well for intuitive painting. So let's cover this up because then we can concentrate on this side. One popular rule for composition is the rule of thirds, and let's just try and apply that. This basically means that one of your shapes is dominating in 1/3 of the painting. So maybe up here we could do roughly 1/3 in a darker value. This is just to show you kind of the principles. So 1/3 of this painting is now dark. Actually, this is also really light, dark, so I might want to lighten that a little bit. Right, so it works, but I sort of forced my painting to fit into the rule of thirds, and that kind of goes against the lovely nature of painting intuitively. Another one you see a lot is a triangle composition, where basically you have 3 elements, or roughly 3 elements, that make your composition. There is kind of already a little bit of that happening here, so let's go with that. I've got one element here, I've got another element there, another element down here. Let's make some of this. Actually, this also works. I might want to lighten this a bit. This could even be part of that. And now my dark shapes are basically arranged in a triangle. And then you often also see circular compositions, where basically all your elements are arranged kind of in a circle. So got dark shape down here, a bit there, a little bit there, and then also up here, kind of something. Maybe make this a bit lighter. At least some of it. And now you've kind of got a circle of all your dark shapes. Again, I've basically tried to fit my painting to work with that circular composition, which again kind of goes against the intuitive nature of intuitive painting. You can approach composition this way, but it feels so boring and restrictive. When you start a composition intuitively, you are exploring your materials, you're in the flow, and you're following your intuition. You don't want to then cram your painting that you created with so much freedom into a traditional composition box. Instead, you need a flexible approach that you can easily integrate into your creative process. You want to be able to respond to what you've created on the painting and work with it, not against it. The way to do that is by having a flexible framework to help you guide through your unique painting and refines what your intuition has already created. So what we want to do when we're painting intuitively and we're trying to solve the composition is to work with what we've already created intuitively. What we want to do first, before we decide on a composition, we want to assess what's already in our painting. And by that, we look at the lights and darks, the light and dark areas. So we have one dark shape here, a little bit here. And we want to reuse as much of that as possible. Now we want to define our shapes a little bit. It's all a little bit unclear at the moment, so maybe I can decide if I want to make this shape darker or lighter. I think it's already leaning a little bit lighter, so I might make that even lighter.
If you like this video, consider subscribing.
This is also a little bit ambiguous. Maybe I'll try and make that darker. Just a little bit. Maybe also this a little bit darker. Let's mix that with some of this green. make it a little bit of a different colour. Just a little bit more variation. Right, now we can see that a little bit more clearly. Actually, this is still a bit dark. I think I'll go a bit lighter with that. I've got a big dark shape here now, and a darker shape here, and also this is kind of dark. And we want to make sure that everything's balanced. So this is very heavy here, and this is only a little bit to balance that. So I think I want to make this, it's also a bit of a weird shape, a bit smaller. So I'm going to cut that large shape off here. And by that I mean I take the opposite value, which is the light value, and paint over a little bit of that. So I can still leave a little bit here, but I want to basically read that shape, make that shape read as only one up here, not the whole thing. And adding light color here breaks that off, maybe even more. And then also this feels kind of in the middle, which is a little bit unfortunate. You've got a little bit of light on both sides. So I think I'm going to extend that in this corner. So it's almost like it's going off the edge. And I've got this one in the corner here, but I've got nothing dark down here. So I want to balance those bits in this corner as well. You want to make sure you've got shapes, so darker elements in this case, everywhere around the painting. So your eye moves around the painting because those dark areas are what the eye is drawn to. So I've got a few more bits down here. Now this dark shape is right in the center, and that really draws my attention. So I want to maybe lighten that a little bit. It doesn't have to be that light. I can just maybe take sort of this medium value. Just lighten it a little bit in the center so it doesn't catch as much attention. Also, this seems really light, so I'm going to try and merge that into this light shape. It's not as different. And now that's a much more balanced and interesting composition than before we started fixing the composition. And we did work with all the elements that were already in the painting that we created intuitively.
Instead of forcing your intuitive paintings into rigid composition rules, you need a flexible framework that works with your intuitive process, not against it. That's exactly what I teach inside Composition for Intuitive Abstracts. If you want to learn a step-by-step method to refining your paintings while keeping your creative freedom and create beautiful works of art that you're proud to share with the world, you can find all the details on my course in the link in the description. Thanks and bye-bye.
I sort of forced my painting.